Is the land map real? Or maybe it is just a lie? Do we have evidence for this? Have you ever thought that the map of the Earth may not be what we have seen? If this is a question for you too, and you want to get the answer, join us to answer these questions on your own channel, Master Facts. Hello, and welcome to Master Facts channel. Today we came back to you with a different video. Before we go to the video, I need to say that if you are interested in this series of content, subscribe to the channel and ring the bell so that you do not miss future videos. Basically, spherical shapes are the best option to show our spherical Earth. But because of the size and difficulty of transportation, and also because you cannot see all the details on it at once, humans moved Harrow's map to two-dimensional levels. But sometimes what we know to be true is entering our brains from childhood and school as accurate information. In fact, they are not true or false. You have seen different maps that have been made available to human beings for centuries by different people with hundreds of different drawings, but what you need to know is that not all of these maps are completely accurate, real and correct. Failure to show us the true dimensions of the country accurately. Especially a map that all of us are familiar from childhood, hence denotes that school is full of misinformation. Many believe it was completely intentional, and after hundreds of years the progress of science, maybe someone behind the scenes insists on using this map, hidden reasons that are hard for all of us to believe. This cylindrical drawing of the map that was presented in 1569 AD. Many believe that after more than 450 years the insistence on using this flawed, erroneous plan is nothing more than propaganda of the power of some countries. The Mercator Map is still used with all the mistakes and misinformation. Why the human race, which has always welcomed new technology, knowledge and awareness in history with open arms, still insists on using this map full of mistakes and errors, as a real map of the world. This insistence is rooted in a great deal of secret discrimination, or in some way the racism of some governments. From the background to the plain language, transferring all the details of a sphere into a flat surface. Mercator prepared this map for the use of European sailors traveling in the North Seas. The map you see in the picture is the original version of this map throughout history. Many European sailors became a reference for their voyages of exploration. For example, many sailors who planned to travel to Greenland assumed that they had a very long voyage ahead of them, but that their voyage would end much faster than they had imagined. Who intends to travel and explore and go to South Africa, the Cape of Good Hope, did not have the right planning. The distance was much longer than their calculations with the Mercator Map. Scottish astronomer James Gall, during a study in 1900, he found that South America was 5 times larger than Greenland. Gall's findings in those years did not receive much attention. However, 100 years later, the German scientist Arnold Peters had all the available maps. He explored the world. According to him, when he did this research, he was very shocked because all the maps available so far are nothing but lies. This is a visual system that Google Maps uses, but unfortunately both of these maps were completely wrong and full of errors. Peters' findings from the errors in the maps did not include 1 or 2 cases. For example, Greenland, which we always saw on the map, is very big and wide. It is larger than all of South America, about the size of Africa, and at least 3 times larger than the Australian continent. In fact, Greenland is much smaller than South America. For example, Argentina, and 14 times smaller than the African continent. Although in the Mercator image system, Greenland is shown 3 times the size of Australia. In fact, it is shown 3 times smaller than Australia. For example, Brazil and Alaska are shown the same size, but in fact, Brazil is 5 times larger than Alaska. India, Argentina, all Scandinavian countries and the United Kingdom can easily fit in. If we examine Iran in this map relative to Europe, you can easily see that it accommodates more than half of Western Europe. For example, a country like Belgium, which massacred millions of people in the Congo, to its size. Now that the colonial debate is over, let's compare Spain, Britain and France with Africa, and India with Europe. If I want to explain more simply, Inside these maps, the land becomes smaller or minimized as it gets closer to the equator. It gets enlarged and maximized exactly as we get closer to the poles. Like the proportions of the circles you see in this image. This distortion and error created within the map was also identified by Peters. It is not, but it is a map. Looking at this map, like the description we talked about earlier, you can easily see the differences and errors of the Mercator map in the dimensions of countries. Arnold Peters, and inspired by the findings of James Gall, according to experts, provided the closest map to reality. But disbelief in this visual system prevented it from being included in school textbooks. The world has been dealing with the Mercator image system for centuries, which is taught to children as a reality and in simple language, the real face of the world, generation after generation. But however, despite the fact that mistakes are proven and what could be the misinformation inside these maps, why was the Peters-Gall map not considered and used? And it was even ignored. In fact, in my opinion, this insistence on using the Mercator map is rooted in the opposition of the superpowers to change the maps. What do you think? Share it with us in the comments. We hope you enjoy watching this video. Before I say goodbye, if you found this video interesting, kindly like the video. Also subscribe to the channel and ring the bell so that you don't miss out on future videos. We wish you health and happiness until the next video. Thank you so much for being with us until the end of the video. Goodbye, friends.